just see the media, all these bad things as it pertains to black men just being killed by police and things like that. Where is a place for black men to specifically feel appreciated, to see their success stories? So I created space for black men of color, to just feel celebrated.
Hey y'all, welcome to Create for Change. I am Dylan St. Bernard, your host. Create for Change is a series focused on creative storytelling and social impact. Today I am joined by Eric Keith. Eric is the founder and editor-in-chief of the Quintessential Gentleman, a media platform for black and brown men that features thought-provoking content about everything from entrepreneurship and politics to lifestyle and entertainment. So, all right, tell me how we got here. Who are you? What feels important for the audience and I to know?
I started the Quintessential Gentleman in 2016 during a time where I wanted to create a space for black men of color to just feel celebrated, feel like they are being heard, being seen. Black men were just being killed by police and things like that. I just see the media, all these bad things as it pertains to black men. And I'm like, where is a place for black men to specifically feel appreciated, to see their success stories from a younger generation? Like, what are they aspiring to? What do they like? What are the things that they're interested in? Where's that space? So I created it, and I created it very intentionally to be positive, to be luxurious, to make sure you see a different type of perception of the people that look like you, sound like you, and walk around in this country like you. For 10 years in now, and
Congrats.
Started in Harlem, New York. Now we're in LA, California, where we still do business in Atlanta and New York. But now I moved the businesses here to LA.
Tell me the social, the
Sure.
magazine, tell me like the full
Sure.
tenets of all of it.
So right now it is a premier media platform for black men. We talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. We talk to a lot of TV, film, and a lot of the conversations are based off of how are you living as a black man in America. So that's a big piece of it. But, normally we talk about how they got here, these successful people, but then also giving voices to other black men that normally wouldn't get the attention because they don't have a publicist or don't have enough people behind them to be able to get them into some of these larger platforms. So I wanted to create a space specifically for them to be seen, to be heard, and that's in various different industries. So we create content from that perspective. We also host events that we focus on trying to get more integrated with our community. Another piece of us coming out here to LA is for us to have more grassroots. We want to start doing more events where we are centering black men conversations at those. But then also we have cover stories that we put together that are specific to if there's a TV film coming out. We've done producers that we've spoken to. Of course, we've done actors, we've done athletes, also businessmen. That's another big piece of us too, is the entrepreneurship. But yeah, that's the space that the Quintessential Gentleman lives, is really in that content creation side.
And in terms of like the actual running of the operation, what does it look like on the day-to-day? Is it you?
It's a team.
Yeah.
It's a team of us. I have our director of operations is here in LA with me. We have a publicist that's in New York, and then we have writers that we have kind of all over the country, and then we have a subset of interns that we work with as well. And then for our specific content creation, if we're doing a photo shoot or if we're doing a video series, we have like designated creative teams in Atlanta, New York, and LA to execute those.
So you're an independent shop in this larger black media that is, I don't know what it's doing at this point, imploding or evolving, lowdown of black media.
I wouldn't say we're imploding. I think that we're here. We're not going anywhere. At least we're trying not to. I would say black media, but normally black businesses as a whole are always struggling with funding and trying to make sure that they can stay operational. There's an attack on the conversations around black people, and the people who share those stories are black media. Because if you look at a lot of these other larger institutions during, George Floyd and Black Lives Matter movement and all of those things, these institutions had to have departments dedicated. There were always some type of subsidiary where it was just, the black voice, and they were curating and creating conversations from the larger platform, speaking directly to black people. if you look around, many of them have dissolved. So you no longer have those subsidiaries of those larger companies. So now having our conversations told are coming from Black media. I'm a part of an organization called Bomisi, where they have one of the largest groups of Black media. They kind of, it's a conglomerate that they kind of work together, and they help to build up other Black media platforms. And, you know, we are all trying our best to continue to tell our stories. There are people who are do positive stories. I started shifting towards this news worthy type of content storytelling when President Trump became president the first time. I started like that later part of his years. I'm like, yo, I'm starting to become complicit in these situations that's happening around this country because I'm not saying anything because it's negative. So I started to become more informative. And another piece of us moving towards politics seriously was during the election of Kamala Harris. And it was important for me to make sure that my audience, which is Black men, knew what it actually was, and not necessarily to sway. It's not you should vote for this person or you should vote for that person. These are the facts. This is the information. This is what is happening so that you're aware. And going back to the point, Black media, that's the only place you're going to get that at this given time.
Can you tell me about the big wins for the Quintessential Gentleman? What's working and how y'all feeling?
So, you know, our social media is a big thing for us. We have one of the biggest social media platforms for Black men lifestyle as a media platform, and Black men speaking directly to them. We have over 100,000 followers on our Instagram page. We have over 100,000 followers on our Facebook page. But, you know, we hit about 5 million people on our Instagram. We hit about 20 million people on our Facebook every month, right? We have 100,000 unique visitors to our website every month as well. Our content is always being shared. I have my friends, and they're like, people that I know you don't know and don't know you and stuff, they're sharing your stuff. I see it all the time. So I know social media has become a really, really big thing, but then also the credibility that the platform has to be able to have such partnerships. We've partnered with Netflix. We partnered with Prime Video. I'm partnering with Disney. So we work with that. But then we have smaller brands that we work with, some Black owned brands. What I wanted from this platform is whenever you think about Black men and you want to talk to them, you have to stop by the Quintessential Gentleman. Just like if you want to talk to women in America and you want to run for president or you want to run from something, you have to go to The View. You have to go to The View. You got to sit there with Whoopi, Joy, and you got to have a conversation. Sunny, that's my favorite. Hold on, I'm going to say everybody. Sarah and Alyssa, right?
You're going to include her too.
You have to include her. And you know what? I don't have a problem with a conservative or someone have different opinions. I think it's important for us to hear other people's perspective on things, because then you learn and you adjust and you figure out how we can meet in the middle.
There's many creatives watching who I think want to get to the level of like they have the audience and engagement. What has gone into the growth of the platforms and then what is currently going into the expansion of the platforms in the community?
Sure. First thing is consistency. I truly believe the reason why we are where we are is because I haven't stopped. Now, I'm not going to tell you I have not wanted to stop. I wanted to stop yesterday, but it's the consistency, and it's not about being first or fastest. I just want to make sure I'm giving you the right information. And sometimes earlier on, I would want to post something and then I'm like, oh, well, another platform already posted it or somebody else posted it. Oh, you're late. What I've come to learn is that there's enough people to consume that content and you build your community. I always say I did not intentionally try to go after certain people or to build up this particular community that, okay, I wanted to look like this, and this. No, I created a community based off of my likes. I love the conversation around Black fathers. I was curating this content for anybody that likes Black fatherhood. There's an aspect of fashion that I like, which isn't too much into the details of like this particular designer does this, but what does it look like to wear a suit or how you're wearing a suit, right? TV film. I'm a big TV film person. These is what I'm watching. This is what I think is good. And then whenever I see a Black person on screen, I want to talk to them. Like, that was a great part that you did. Let's talk about it. So I built this community based off of things that I liked. And now I have 20 million people that like the same thing, that engage with the same content that I like. So I always say to creators, stop trying to duplicate other people's things. Stop trying to be like somebody else. I think you can take tips. I think it's important to see, oh, look how they did that. Look how they did this. It's cool. Me and you both can have the same recipe. Our cake is going to be different, but you may like your cake a different way. I think that is, one is consistency. And then the last quick thing is that collaboration. I was working with people that were not, some people may not have given opportunities to. So if I'm interviewing someone, the Forbes or Black Enterprise or other people probably wouldn't interview them, but I'm going to interview them. Let's talk about it. And now I'm using their audience that they've created or they've curated to now introduce them to my platform, just like I'm introducing my audience to them. Mm-hmm. So having more conversations around people who you can collab with. I love that Instagram now does this collab posting. If you see a lot of our posts, it's us collabing with other people. Let's work on this together. Let's build this together. And it does really, really well. So those are, I would say, my 2 points.
Yeah. And I'm curious, thinking about curation, I guess, how much does the community engagement and like what folks are talking about and the comments guide what you're going to post next? Are you thinking about engagement as you're like developing the editorial calendar? So
we have an editorial calendar based off of the content that we want to get out. So we have a cover story coming out. I think this will probably come out in a week. Last week, Tim? Sometime
later this month. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We have a cover coming out with Laz Alonso and Jesse T. Usher, who are 2 stars of the Prime Video show The Boys, right? So when we have that, we already know that that's coming out. We have now content surrounding that. We'll talk about The Boys. We'll talk about other TV shows. We already have that set up. So that's our editorial calendar based off of what's happening in the month. There, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So we have content that's going to be derived from that. So that's kind of like the base of our content strategy. Now, as I told you before, we have kind of like this news section too. So depending on what's happening in the world, we're also talking about that. But what's different for us is I always want us to talk about it from a Black male perspective. I feel like that particular perspective is what was missing when I was starting this, right? I didn't feel like we had any conversations around Black men. So my perspective now when I go into anything is, how does this particular situation affect the Black man? And also, what are their opinion on it? And me as a Black man, what is my opinion on this particular situation? So we just had the Voters' Right Act just get gutted. And now that's a big conversation that we're having with Louisiana. What does that look like? How does it trickle down into all the various different states, the Supreme Court? So then we kind of fill through, the editorial calendar based off of the news that's happening currently.
How do you protect your piece as you are ingesting all the news and covering the news? And I asked that as somebody, I was trained as a journalist. I think one of the things that kind of turned me away from it, or just made me kind of switch to more like impact stuff, was like, oh, I can't. This is a lot. How do you and the team think about like, okay, we're covering this world and we're covering the destruction of the world, and also like we're also of and in the world. How do you do it?
Still figuring it out, if I'm being honest. But I will tell you that one of the hardest times in my life was during COVID-19 and the Black Lives Matter, because I was single, living in New York, in a studio apartment, covering it. And I'm talking about day-to-day videos I'm sharing on social media. This is what's happening. Like it was a lot, and it was very hard for me to consume that day in and day out, being a Black man, being in the epicenter of this coronavirus, right? Being in the same seeing the conversations in the viral and posting the killing of Black men. It was so tough. And being a journalist now is very hard. The things of being a Black person in America, the political climate that adds another piece of it. And then you're also trying to figure out how to live, how to grow a business, how to survive even in your own space, if that's paying rent, doing bills, doing this. And then I have a team, figuring out what that looks like. It's very challenging, but I will say I'm getting better. I'm in therapy. I go to therapy every month. I go to the gym. I don't play about the gym. I don't play about the gym. It is a routine for me. I get up, walk my dog, go to the gym, start my day. So I think for my advice is I think routine is good, but then I also think trying to find some things that, can make you happy. When I'll go to the beach, and I'm a flipper, I do gymnastics. So you see in my social media, I'll flip on the beach. You'll see me flipping on the beach somewhere.
I love that.
That's it.
So we're in 2026, doing another election coming up. Yeah. You're growing, you have a team. Like, where does the platform go to from here?
Global. I want to take the platform global. I think we are good in America. I think there's so much more we could do. We want to do events and things like that. However, I want to have an international presence. I want to be able to start showing different perspectives outside of America, and it's kind of a little bit added to the political side too, right? I think in America we are taught that this is what our world is and there's nothing better. Mm-hmm. There's debatable, but I think there are experiences outside of our country that we can explore. I know that there are Black people who have different experiences, and there's Black excellence abroad that I would love to highlight. I would love to show our consumers and our audience what it looks like to be Black in other places and to be a Black male in those spaces and how they're navigating. So global expansion is where my head is at.
Mm-hmm. And as you consider that, I'm curious, what do you think like other media brands, even these larger conglomerates, what can they learn from how you are building the Quintessential Gentleman?
I think that we are losing the grassroots piece of it from the high end. I think everyone's found the algorithm. I'm surprised at the things that go viral, right? Like I'm like, oh, so y'all like that, It's very non-strategic, right? And if anyone tells you that it is, I would check with them. But I think that you have to, some things are going to do good and some things are not, right? You constantly are putting out the content. You're not going to have a hit post every single time. However, you don't know what particular conversations are going to strike a chord that are going to manifest into something else. So I think when we have these larger platforms, they're doing things that are two things. One, they're just very grandiose, like it's just so high and elevated, and you kind of miss just the regular people who are just interested in just consuming content from a basic level. But then also I feel like the bigger platforms are becoming too trendy. And in that trendy phase, in my opinion, you start to look a little cheesy because you're a legacy brand. Why are you stooping down low to like, what's happening here? Like you talking about hot sauce in your bag, like it's certain things that I'm like, what's happening here? And as someone who is trying, who is aspiring to be a legacy brand, and I want to be just like these bigger brands out here, I don't want to be like that anymore because I feel like y'all just going with the wind. And I also know that it's corporate greed. I also know that, you are using what's hot now in order to get the audience. It's a very hard digital space. The digital space is oversaturated. How can I get people to look at my content? How can I get them to swipe, their phone or to double tap or to share this post to their friend, their family, their network? And the means in which they're doing it, sometimes I'm side-eyeing.
Most of this audience are like young and or just emerging creatives who like want to be building their own stuff. And I think this is a moment where I think any industry is kind of hard to get in. So like the kind of side door is kind of making your own thing. Like what is your advice for them to keep in mind as they like build their own thing?
So I'm a millennial, and one of the issues that millennials have is that we were brought up on this like hierarchy where it's like you have to talk to this particular person in order to go to this particular person. You have to do it this way in order to do that. Throw it out the window. You have to throw it out the window. Like everything has changed. Nothing is really the same, and shoot your shot. Before it was like, oh my gosh, you DM to see a celebrity. DM the people. I am seeing a lot of people, celebrities, big name talent, all that stuff, accepting pitches to do certain stuff because they think it's dope with what you're doing. So my advice is if you're really interested in doing what you're doing and you're working hard at it, make sure that you start thinking outside the box and just like do it, right? One of my biggest challenges growing this brand was I wanted it to be a certain way. So there's so many things I didn't do because I'm like, dang, I don't have the budget to be able to do it at the way that I want to do it. So then I end up not doing it instead of figuring out, okay, I want to do it this way, but is there a way that I can do it at a smaller scale that's still going to be impactful? Maybe this time I only have 30 people instead of the 300 people I wanted, right? But if you get 30 people and it's dope and people show it, how can you grow towards that? So stop trying to think that everything is perfect. When things are not working and when people are not reaching out to us or not sponsoring us or not wanting to be a part of it, it ticks at us. We think that we're the problem when there's so many other things. It could be not a good time, but that doesn't equate to the work that you've put in or the quality of the work that you're doing. So you still have to keep going. You have to be consistent and just got to try new things.
How do we support you? How do we support Black media more generally?
We want you to like our things, and I appreciate that, and I want you to do that. However, also cut the check, right? If you have an opportunity for our brand to partner with you, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out, right? I know that I bring a certain amount of people. I bring a perspective. I bring a certain execution to whatever it is that we do at this level. There's opportunities and partnerships as it pertains to branding, right? If you're trying to talk to Black men, okay, how can I sponsor one of your dinners that you have for these people? How a cover story? How can I advertise on your social media channels? Like, Black media needs the dollars. We need people to actually spend the money on us. If you have a business, we're not going to be asking like Condé Nast and say, oh, in order to add on us $1 million. No, it's $1,000. That helps us. We think because we don't have the numbers as the bigger brand that we're not impactful. However, you don't realize that when you talk to these Black media platforms, they may have smaller numbers. However, those are your consumers versus you talking to bigger brands. Yeah, they have 1 million followers or 1 million people that read their publication. 2,000 of them will be the people that are really interested in what it is that you sell. Whereas, all right, I got 100,000 and maybe 50,000. There you have to really understand that. So I always say, cut the check. Black media needs the check. Stop playing with them.
Yeah. Open the purse, cut the check.
Open the purse, open the wallet, the clutch, whatever you got, the Apple Pay. There's so much more that a brand can do with a smaller brand than what they can do with a bigger brand for a smaller amount of money, right? So, let's say, for instance, you have a budget of 20 grand. 20 grand, I can build you out a whole campaign where we see your name everywhere versus 20 grand for a bigger brand. You get a little tag here, sponsored by.
Yeah, the logo's small.
The logo's small. Like and to me, it doesn't make any sense. Is how come you're not doing integrated campaigns with these smaller brands that you're consistently being seen? And those are the type of opportunities that people need to pay attention to. The issue is that a lot of times these smaller brands don't have marketing people. They're just the people who are CEOs. I just created this product. I don't know how to market it. My marketing side, my branding side is where I excel. So if you give me something and you have the budget, I know exactly what we need to do to catapult it, So it's just understanding what your team looks like, what the efforts are, and how and what it takes for you to be able to grow your brand.
Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us, Eric.
Of course. Thank you so much. I appreciate this, and I appreciate what you're doing, having this type of conversation and like really being able to foster conversation and community with us. I don't take it lightly. I think this type of storytelling from this perspective is needed. And, they keep saying, stop giving Black men mics, but you're using your mic real well. And I love that.